Hello friends, welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal Idunyate, and today we are working once again in my 2021 October daily album. This is going to be story number 26, and the inspiration for this one was holiday baking or holiday cookies, and I am documenting a day where I had decorated some Halloween cookies with my kids and took a bunch of pictures of them eating them afterwards. We always get these really fun cookie kits from Target, or sometimes you can get them from Michael's, or also Amazon carries them. And essentially they come with pre-done cookies, so you don't even have to bake them. And then they have different frostings and toppings and little picture ideas for how you can decorate the cookies. My daughter, Isabella, is really actually talented at cookie decorating. So she made a whole bunch of really fancy ones. I also really enjoy decorating them. And then my son just plops everything down on one cookie and calls it a day. Now, we had a lot of leftover frosting, and my daughter decided to eat the entire little bottle there of the black frosting, which turned her mouth black. And she took this picture, which I just love. I think it's hilarious. And I love all the black in the picture. It's so fun. So I knew I wanted to blow that one up and tell a story on top of the photo, using the photo as my template or as my foundation, so to say. I have a layout saved from a while back, one that Laura Wanzik did. And I will try to link the original inspiration photo in the description for you, along with all of the supplies that I'm using. So she did this layout where she did triangles paired with triangle journaling, and I just loved the look of it, and I thought that this would be a perfect spot to scrap lift that idea. So prior to printing off my photos, and I have two of them, so one is my daughter, and the other one you'll see here in a little bit is my son, also with cookies. There he is right there eating cookies. I have two of these photos, and I printed them specifically so that there was a lot of space to one side of them. So they each take up the majority of half of the photo, and then the other half of the photo has a lot of blank space where there might be background kind of fuzzed out, but there's nothing important. So in that space, I added triangles of journaling. It's very hard to see it here on the video, but once I start to add in the paper triangles, your eye will pick up on the journaling a lot easier. So I printed that off, and then what we're going to do is cut out a ton of triangles out of different pattern papers that I have from all kinds of different collections, and we're going to add those onto the photos to create this really fun graphic look. Now, because this is going to tell a story, just one single story, but I had two of these giant pictures I wanted to use, I decided to do a double flip out inside of my Life Crafted album. To do that, I cut both of the photos in half, and then I am using a piece of plain copy paper that is sized at 2 inches wide by however long, really technically 8¼ inches long, but I cut it at the 2 inches wide, folded it in half. I adhered one half to the back side of the photo, one half to the back side of some pattern paper that I'm going to use for additional space for more photos and more story. And then we'll add the other photo. So I've got on the back side of this one, I have the left side of Jonah's photo, and then on the top, I'm going to add the left side of Isabella's photo. And you'll see here how that looks in just a second, just like that. And we're going to repeat this process for the right side of both photos. Before I get to that, we're going to add something into the flap here. So on the left side, I've got this photo of just the plate of cookies that are all decorated. I originally thought I was just going to add them onto the fun little banner pattern paper there, but then I decided that it blended too much with the background, made things feel a little bit too busy. So instead, I'm going to remove a little bit extra off of the photo. I added it onto some white cardstock, which you'll see here in just a second. And then we're going to add that into the spot there. See how it looks a lot better when you have that little bit of white matte around the outside. It just helps it to pop off the page a little bit more and still allows you to see part of the pattern paper as well. Because I wanted to have the pattern paper, I wanted to have something that felt a little bit whimsical on the edge there and also brought in some more of those Halloween colors. And there we go. So that's going to be the first half of my layout. Now we're going to work on the right side. So I've got the same hinge there that I made with copy paper. I folded it in half, so there's an inch on either side. The one side is on the back of the photo of Izzy. The other is on the back of some pattern paper. That's going to, the same exact pattern paper that's going to help tie everything together here. And then on top of the pattern paper, when it's folded, we're going to add the second half of Izzy's photo. So I guess I misspoke. The photo underneath this is actually the right side of Jonah's photo. And then on top, we've got the right side of Izzy's photo. Once I have that on there, I'll bring them over so you can see how this is going to work. See, so we've got the two on top and they open up, and then we have the two on the bottom that are Jonah. Since I added the white matte to the back of the larger photo, I decided I wanted to do the same thing for these smaller little photos of the kids. Then those are going to stack on top of each other on the pattern paper that's to the left of my hands. So we're just going to add everything in there, and then all that will be left is the fun graphic embellishing of the two large photos. When I was designing this layout, I did create a template for the triangles themselves because I wanted to make sure that everything was sized proportionately correct. So the triangle of text is going to match the triangle of the pattern paper that we'll cut out here in a second. When I printed my photos, I did also print out the templates, which are this lime green color. I'm not actually going to be using the lime green on anything. I'm literally just using it in order to cut my triangles at the correct size. Now for this portion where I am cutting out all of the triangles, one of the things that I'm trying to keep in mind is maintaining a sense of balance with my colors and my patterns. So I'm going to cut out a whole bunch of them, and then we're going to stick them around where I want them to go. And that way I can make sure I've got roughly 2 or 3 of each of the different patterns. I want the patterns to not be right next to each other, meaning I don't want the same black and white stripe to be right next to another black and white stripe. And I'm also trying to make sure that if I put one in the upper left corner, then the next one goes in the bottom right corner. Or if it's in, the middle right, then it goes into the middle or the bottom left. Just trying to maintain as much balance with the colors, the patterns, and where everything appears as I possibly can. So there is Jonah's. Now, before I move on to Izzy's, I'm also going to go through some of my little itty bitty tiny puffy stickers and little die cuts that I have, and I'm going to add these into some of those triangles just to add a little more interest, a little more dimension, and it helps me to use up some of my supplies. I think this turned out really fun. I love the whimsical little touch it gives to these pages. Once I have Jonah's done, we will close up the pages, and then I'm going to work on Izzy's next. We'll go through the exact same process where I will add the triangles above or below the text that I already have printed on her photo, and we will add some of those little embellishments in there too. Now I have some larger die cut pieces that I wanted to add onto the 2 flaps. One of them is this super large banner that actually doesn't really fit in most of the places in my album. I would not be able to put this horizontal on a photo because it wouldn't fit in my Life Crafted album. But it worked out perfect to add it vertically instead. I think this one says trick or treat on it, and I'm just going to add it on top of the 2 smaller photos on the right side. On the left side, I have these cookies on the plate, and there's this one spot on the plate where there's no cookie, and I thought that that would be a really fun place to add an embellishment. I'm going to try out a whole bunch of them and ultimately choose the teal one that you see on the page right now because it ties in the teal color of the plate that Jonah is eating off. It's actually quite perfect. I end up not putting the teal little die cut on top of the plate and will actually stick it in the bottom section below the plate. I kind of sort of wish that I would have put it on the plate where the cookie should have been, because I think that it just made that feel finished, but it's okay. I still like it, and I am still actually really glad that I chose the teal one. As I was rewatching this and I couldn't remember what I picked, I said out loud to myself, oh, I hope I picked that teal one because that one's really good. And then I did. So yay for good decisions. All right, so now we are turning our attention back to this photo of Izzy. And here's where we're going to do the same thing again. So maintaining as much balance as we can with the colors and with the patterns. I love that the collection of papers I had to work with last year had a lot of these pink tones in them, because especially for this photo, Izzy is wearing a dress that has bats on it, and the bats almost have this pinky kind of tone to them. I almost wonder if I accidentally washed it with reds and then it turned the bats pink, or if that's how it came. I don't really remember. And it could also just be that her mask that she's wearing, it's underneath her chin and it's bright pink, that perhaps that is casting some pink onto her dress as well. So it just helps to tie in the pink colors that were included in the pattern papers this time. And I think that's a really fun touch. Now that we've got all the triangles adhered down on the page, now we're going to go back through those little itty bitty puffy stickers and embellishments again and add a couple here and there just to give this some more interest and dimension. This has to be one of my favorite layouts from my album from 2021. I love seeing this again, and it makes me want to do a lot more layouts like this one in the coming year, where it's photo centric with some graphic design on top of it and a little bit of embellishing, but in general using the photo as the foundation. Super, super love the way that this looks. After we get everything embellished and done with the photos here, I'm going to pull over my numbers to figure out which number I want to add onto the photo. I want to put it next to Izzy's head, where there's that blank space between her face and then all of the triangles and embellishments on there. I think that that's a perfect spot for a number, but I won't add it onto the photo itself until I add this into the album. I want to make sure that it's not going to be punched when I put it into the album, because there are going to be some holes on the photo, which you'll see here in just a second. It's my hack for getting these flip out full page photos into an album. My favorite by far is the wood veneer 26. That came from Colorcast Designs, and it might have been from 2 years ago, but I definitely would check out Jessica's shop. It's Colorcast Designs for numbers, especially this time of year. And as we get closer to December Daily, she'll have some really awesome numbers in her shop, I am sure. Now, to add this into the book, what we're going to do is hole punch with my 6 hole punch the original photo on the back side. So I'm going to line it up with my template and then go ahead and punch the holes. Then I will do the exact same thing for the flip out page. So now both of these have their edges punched. In order for this to attach into the album and then be able to detach and flip out, I'm going to clip the side where the hole is all the way to the edge, almost like a happy planner or like a disc bound type of system. So they are angled slightly in order to make it easier to pull everything out and put it back in. I did that for both sides. So then when the photo is in the album like this, it is totally adhered in, and then you just pull it in order to unclip it from the rings. I added in that wood veneer number 26, and then we are going to call this one done. I hope you enjoyed seeing this layout come together today, and if you did, I would love a thumbs up on this video down below. Also, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to see more of these layouts in the future. I have a couple more planned and coming your way, so hopefully I will see you back here then. Until then, friends, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye now.